Hello again, everybody. Now we are going to hear the presentation from Marcel Stiller from Cendyn, and he will talk about the future starts now. Prepare your hotel for a cookieless world.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think an interesting conversation around this topic. And we would probably call it like a new path lies ahead, and why is that the case? So I think due to COVID, we have seen a lot of different changes in the market, if you want to say so. First of all, I think we all have been fighting for every kind of booking during the last couple of years, I would say. At the same time, we had to be very flexible, focusing on different market segments, different target audiences. So a lot of this kind of topics have been, gotten even more important for us. And at the same time, what we also have seen is that due to COVID, the bigger part of the guest journey moved into the digital area, so online. And so we started thinking much more about the entire digitalization process and what kind of tools and solutions we actually we need to live up to the standards and expectations of customers, and think of solutions like online check-in or these kind of things. So I would say the digitalization had a big push over the last couple of years, and I think as a hotelier we definitely have to live up to that standard. So we need to understand that this new technology, and more being in the online environment, that is at the same time also the challenge at the one hand, but also a benefit. And we want to make sure that we use then the data to personalize the entire guest journey in that digital space as well. And we want to make sure that we add value by systems which we take in place. And by bringing in more systems, we absolutely are also aware of the fact that each of those systems is collecting data, right? Customer data, important data, which we collect. And that's going to be the main focus for today, because we have data in the PMS, we have data in the CRS, in the booking engine, maybe in the spa software, restaurant software. And now as we're going to touch base not only on first-party data, but also on third-party cookies disappearing, and why that's so important that we have to focus on first-party data. I think that's I think it's clear, but I think we'll show on the next couple of slides why you should take action now, and why you should make sure that you have the right technology to build the stage for the future. And there's actually quite a lot happening in the market, and I think it's even going further back than I think I was one too far. So I think it even started a little bit earlier if we look at the entire GDPR topics, right? I mean, what happened there was that obviously there was a kind of different concept about or idea about how to handle data, how we make sure the data is secure, how are we going to interact with customers, do we give them full access to their data, can they manage their data themselves? So we got much more the customer himself in control. So when we need to explain what we do with data, and the right to be forgotten, all those kind of topics. And that's been very, very important, because that also set now kind of the stage for all the big tech companies to go more or less in that direction of a private world. So and we've seen a lot of updates in the market. So if you look now at Google, which is probably one of the early adopters in that area, we've seen that they remove the tracking if it comes to IP, but the open rates and these kind of topics in their emails. They got rid completely of the third-party cookies. We see now as a next big one following in line, Google removing the third-party cookies in Chrome in the browser from 2023. And why is that so important to understand what kind of impact that has? I mean, we all know where we use third-party cookies, right? So we use third-party cookies for, audience targeting. We use that for remarketing. We use that for behavioral tracking and all these kind of things. So we need to get our head around this kind of data, the preference, interest, directly from the customer, so first-party data. And just to give a context to that, I mean, we all know probably that Google and Google Chrome is probably market leader, but it's like 75% they own of the market. So that's a big chunk. And if we then relate it to the number where if we look at how much do we spend on online marketing a year worldwide, it's more than $455 billion, which is just just huge. So owning the data, understanding data, making sure that we are using the data correctly and make that actionable is getting more and more important in the future. So that said, what is keeping us in hospitality for a long time away from that kind of seamless experience, which we all know from e-commerce, right? I think we had, sorry, I think we're having some issues here with the zipper. So I think we all know the great experiences we can have in Amazon and other platforms, right? So the biggest challenge we always had is that we have so much different tech solutions, tech stack with 30 plus different solutions in the hotel, which have always been data silos, right? There hasn't been any kind of integration. Systems were not talking to each other. We didn't have a single source of truth, if you want to say, or want to call it. So one profile per customer. I'm not even going to touch on data quality and all these kind of topics today. But that has always been a huge challenge. And now being in a new age where a lot of new technology is coming out and we're bringing everything to the next level, and you see now open APIs coming where, you know, we now have the possibility to start communicating, or the systems can start talking to each other. We bring down the cost of interfaces, we're bringing down, you know, the integration cost and all these kind of things. So we are now in a completely different place where the technology is already there, right? So you can make sure that your tech stack is integrated and you have a seamless experience for the customer. And that's I think one of the key elements to talk about, because as we're going to talk more about, you know, how to use your data directly, which you know, first-party data about your customers, what are the preferences, what are the interests, and all these kind of topics. You want to make sure that you're well set in that part, right? And I think this slide is probably giving a little bit of a better insight what does it actually mean, right? So having the data, and for instance, as I would talk about my company, and we started 20 years ago, probably as a pioneer in the CRM space, but nowadays we're all talking about, you know, customer data platforms, right? Similar to what we see in e-commerce, especially based on what we just discussed before, right? Open APIs and these kind of topics. So what does it do? We're now able to bring all the data from all the different data hubs in one new database. We clean and match and merge all this information, so there's a single source of truth, right? So, and if you have that, and that's for us and everyone in the branch, I think the most important starting point, because we heard it in other conversations today here as well. So if you have bad data, what can be the output, right? So that's the most important part. And if you have then this data in one spot, then you want to make this actionable, right? So you want to make sure that in each of the touch points which you have with your customer, you're not only collecting data of them, but also you're able to, you know, to give a seamless experience based on the data you have. And I think it's good if we just go through the slide a little bit, and I would explain what I mean with that, making a seamless experience, and that ideally end-to-end, right? And there are multiple solutions out there. You can have end-to-end solutions providers like ours, but there are a lot of, you know, other providers where you can have you know, seamless integrations with systems where you can, you know, try to get a similar experience. But let's start maybe at a very simple example. If someone is now looking, these kind of, you know, you see here all the different stages, like in the search and discover phase, right? We have then the booking phase, we have the pre-stay, we have the arrival phase, and then, you know, on property, post-stay, and then the nurture and re-engage phase, as we would call it. But just imagine now I'm searching for my next stay, and I have a very highly targeted SEM ad where I get someone to my website. So I know already a little bit about this person, what he is in market for, what is he looking for. Now he comes to the website. What I want to make sure of is that either I'm going to recognize him because he's an existing customer, or a customer which has stayed before at one of my properties. And if it's not a new, not an existing or returning customer, if it's a new one, I already have a kind of data set, right? So then I can track the entire behavior on the website. I see what kind of preference and interest he's showing there. If he goes away from the website, I want to make sure that if he comes back, he has a seamless experience, that, you know, he's not going through the entire funnel again, but we pick him up where he comes from. So personalization on the website. Like I said, if you recognize someone, ideally you're able to use then the profile data which you have either in a CRM customer data platform to completely personalize that content on the website, so, right? Historical data about the booking behavior, all these kind of topics you can make fully use of to show a different content based on the person who's on your website. So if you then would, just imagine we don't have any kind of content with a person, then you probably want to have a pop-up on the website where you then could actually show, generate a benefit for the customer. That's going to be one of the main reasons why people are willing to give more data, and what allows you then to further optimize the stay, right? So if you would have a pop-up on the website with a benefit, and he would sign up for the newsletter, you can start communicating towards this person over all kind of different devices. So you will push him at some point, hopefully then further through the funnel into the booking engine. So you want to make sure that also the booking engine is seamlessly integrated. Based on the profile data you have, you can then have personalized pricing in the booking engine. You have single sign-on so that the entire booking process is smooth and easy. So yeah, someone will then go a step further. So the booking has been taking place. You will come to the confirmation part. So, and that's the first point. I think we have seen a couple of nice presentations here today where you can start then to look at a lot of other things, right? So upselling, cross-selling, these kind of things, although that's maybe a little bit more interesting for the pre-arrival where we're going to talk about in a minute. But in the confirmation, I think it's also important that you're aware of, how you can integrate with other solutions out there, like payment, right? So PCI compliance, all these kind of topics. We have that all. You can have that all integrated in your confirmation, so you avoid manual work and all these kind of topics. If you go further than pre-arrival, which we discussed before, then that at the latest is a great moment not only to do up and cross-selling, have great offerings, but also add like a survey to that where you try to collect additional information for about this person and his next stay, right? So you want to make sure that you can give him, or he will give you then, or she will give you more information as long as they are aware of the fact that either the check-in is going to be much easier, much quicker, or they have a better experience because now you know that there must be a certain drink in the minibar or whatsoever, right? So there are a lot of benefits you can create by collecting data for the customer. So pre-check-in, a topic which we discussed, right? That's an important one which you can add into the entire guest journey. You have the complete on-property experience where you can see, okay, if people are now in the property, and I do have spa treatments, and I know that spa is not completely booked out, where you might want to have like an offer sent to the person who is open for spa treatments, as an example. Maybe show that in the past or some interest on the website. So bringing, again, all the dots together based on profile data. We have been hearing a lot about loyalty or guest recognition programs. So that's another thing you can use to collect more data, keep the customer coming back, and also give him the full flexibility to own his own data, to make changes in such a portal, like a newsletter portal, a member portal, which is key for today and the expectations of a customer, right? And then also if you move further through the entire journey, you see all kind of other things which I would like to highlight as, analytics, right? So we see, and we're going to talk about, click-through rate and all these kind of topics in a minute, but it's very important that now we have all this data and everyone within the company, doesn't matter is it sales, is it marketing or operational staff, is actually making use of that same data. So you want to make sure that you're able to now talk all about the same numbers and you have all the reportings right. So all these kind of topics obviously very important as part of a central profile. And another thing, and I know that's a little bit difficult in the current times because I think the B2B and the entire corporate sales, it's not completely back where it was pre-COVID, and that will probably take a couple of years more. But I think it's still important to understand that even a profile should enable you to understand that maybe, doesn't matter who it is, but sometimes you're traveling as a B2B traveler just for work, and sometimes you're on the road for for a leisure stay. So you have sometimes more personas in one person, right? And so you want to make sure that that relationship is shown in a profile and is understood, and you can fully action on that behavior. So and that's the beauty of this new environment where you have open API. So we're combining historical data with real-time data, and you can make fully use of that, right? So that's an important one. And if we talk about the entire connectivity between different systems, I think where we had now and where we will see in the next couple of years big changes is just imagine that, you know, and you see here like the total revenue optimization as well. So see a customer as something holistic, right? So sometimes maybe you only have a customer in the restaurant or maybe only in a spa, but it might be, you know, that there's a lot of opportunity to also at some point, you know, sell a package with a stay included or something like that. So you want to understand what kind of revenue a customer is bringing you over the lifetime and what kind of different buckets you have. And there, I think there will be some big changes in the next couple of years where, as an example, if just imagine that an RMS is going to start talking to a CRM, right? So if you know you have at a certain point a need period in maybe a certain room category or something like that, then probably you will see that the RMS will send a message to the CRM and telling him, based on the profile information which we have, right? So what person we should send a highly personalized offering and communication to at what time to make sure that we will fill this need period. And ideally, especially in times where the staff shortage is a very important thing, and it will definitely be a topic for the next couple of years, that is completely automated, right? So that's where we're all heading to, and which is, I think, a very exciting time. Yeah, we get a little bit more into a couple of the details here. So we talked already about the personalization on the website, how important that is to have that seamlessly integrated also with a CDP or a CRM, so with a guest profile. And yeah, I think it's always good to give a couple of numbers. And you know, you see here obviously that on the slide that personalization will reduce the acquisition cost up to 50%. I think that's an important one, especially which we talked about. You know, the third-party cookies getting away from the stage, and also the increase of marketing spend efficiency will be between 10 and 30%. I think that's a big number to mention here. Another topic which I think is going to be, I have some issues here as it seems, but I'll try to manage it till the end. So what I think is also important to mention that a lot of things change based on if you are a marketeer today, not only third-party cookies that you can't use that anymore, and who knows what is going to come, right? We all hope that Google comes with something which is as good as, but I definitely think the key topic for today to bring to the C-level is absolutely that you're sure that you take actions now. And things as, for the marketeer, also the click-through rate is becoming more and more important. Why? Because if we don't have access with, as an example, with Apple Mail, you don't have any open rates anymore. You have to completely rethink how are you, what are your KPIs? How are you reporting? How are you measuring things? And I think that's currently one of the big challenges where you have to very soon adapt to the new trends. So we see here on the screen a couple of examples of that. So if you would have just imagine that you have set up your CRM or your marketing automation solution in such a way that you have fully automated nurture campaigns running, or you have a journey builder where you can directly say, okay, if customer clicks or opens an email, then he will get like message A, if not B. So all these kind of things which you can build, which makes life easy for hospitality and built on certain guest journeys and personas, different journeys. That will definitely be not so easy anymore if you have built that based on the open rates, right? So you have to completely rethink your entire model and go into detail there. Same goes for A/B testing criteria and all these kind of topics. So be aware that you will see different outcomes if you're not taking actions directly now. And then I think for me one of the most important parts is also to show that profile data and understanding that data is key to set you apart, being competitive in the future. And why is that? So first of all, if you know what kind of data you have, if you know what people are searching for before they come on the website, if you know what their preference and interests are, especially of those who are the big spenders who are coming often to your property or properties, you want to make fully use of that data. So you want to use that for search engine optimization on the website. You want to make sure you have highly targeted direct communications in the different channels towards your potential customers or existing customers if it comes to search engine marketing campaigns you're setting up, but also audience building in the entire social networks, right? So you want to make sure you fully use the data you have there, right? So you want to make sure that you can take your best customers for lookalike modeling and all these kind of things. And at the same time, if you understand that if you look at your marketing budget and you know that you have already a certain booking from one of your customers on the books, it doesn't make sense to spend further marketing budget on that person. You want to use that marketing budget to acquire other new customers, right? So a lot of things you can get your head around, how you can be much more efficient in marketing, how you can push conversions, how you can bring in new customers, and also bring your existing customers more often back to your property. And that's where I think the profile data is definitely key and very important for the future. And just to to make sure that we have some proof there as well. It's, like I said, a learning process. We have here two examples of Mirval Resorts in 2020, where we did exactly what I'm just was telling. So combining CRM data with digital marketing, ideally fully automated, where we then generated 58 million impressions. We had 753,000 clicks. We generated more than 12 million on revenue, and it's a return of an ad spend of 12, which I think is far beyond the average, as well as a database growth of data of 59%. Same goes for Onyx in 2019, where we had some very great numbers here on generated, and that's based, and that's why I just wanted to bring in this example as well, because this is a very good example of having different systems, different providers, seamlessly integrated. And here you see that we had an average return of investment of 8 times. We had an email click-through rate, which is just phenomenal, of 70%. And we generated 53 dollars revenue per email sent, which I think is just amazing. And 20K here on upgrade revenue as an example. And happy to give you more data, more information after the session. Just ping me, and happy to give you more information on that part. So that's it. I think so far so good. Any questions?
So no questions, also not from the chat. That's why I just wanted to say thank you for this nice presentation.
Thank you for having me.
And hope you will enjoy the COVID Comeback conference.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.